Crawford wants a fortune to risk it all against Jaron Boots Ennis. Stay tuned as we discuss the latest news in the boxing world. Subscribe. Eddie Hearn says Terence Crawford is going to want loads of money to fight Jaron Boots Ennis because he knows what kind of threat Ennis poses to him. He states that Crawford, 42 and narrow, 31 KOs, won't fight Ennis unless he's paid a massive purse. That is a fight for the ages, said Matchroom boss Eddie Hearn to Fight Hub TV about Jaron Boots Ennis versus Terence Crawford. Crawford is only going to fight Boots if there's loads of money on the line because he knows how good Ennis is. He's not going to fight anymore unless it's a lot of money. I don't know about Crawford Boots being a fight for the ages. Hearns is going a little overboard with that kind of talk. It's a good fight, and it would be fun to see what the young Ennis could do against the 38-year-old Crawford, knocking him off his high horse. A more fun fight would be to see how Boots does against some of the super middleweights, like Christian and Billy, Lester Martinez and Osles Iglesias. Those fighters throw a lot more punches than Crawford, and they stand in the pocket to battle. You won't see them running around the ring like Crawford was doing against Canelo. Fans would get their money's worth if one of them fought Ennis. His biggest challenge is Crawford. He has earned the right to ask for tens of millions of dollars, and you can only give him that kind of money in super fights. Crawford knows how good Ennis is. Why would you fight Ennis? Said Hearn. Is Crawford protecting his legacy? Crawford is now likely to be protective with his matchmaking now that he's become popular to some extent from his fight against Canelo Alvarez. What that means is he won't take a risky fight against Ennis unless Turkey Al-Sheikh pays him a John D. Rockefeller-like fortune to fight him, possibly in the 100 million range. It'll depend on how worried he is about Boots, and whether he's worried about his precious legacy being hurt by a loss. Also, he may have an idea in his head that he's taken his place as the face of boxing. If that win gave Crawford delusions of grandeur, he's going to expect 100 million plus, and if it's not given to him, he won't fight. You tell me what fight is out there that will pay Crawford the money he wants, said Hearn. For Crawford to agree to a fight against Boots Ennis, he might want a bump up in pay from the 50 million smackers he made to fight the fated Canelo Alvarez on September 13th. Ennis is a whole different animal than the flat-footed 35-year-old Canelo. He can do everything Crawford can do, but he has better offensive skills. Boots doesn't rely on stalling out the rounds by moving or waiting to counter his opponents the way Crawford does. He actually initiates by being the aggressor, throwing punches and attacks. That's why he's already surpassing Crawford in popularity. It's the same reason Errol Spence was more popular than Crawford. He had a fan-friendly style that made him a crossover star in the US, just like past greats like Oscar de la Hoya. The reality is, the only two fights out there that will pay Crawford a fortune are these two. Canelo Alvarez rematch. That depends on whether Turkey Al-Sheikh is interested in financing a second fight. It's not a good sign that he inquired about whether David Benavidez can still make 168. That suggests that his interest is in Benavidez fighting Crawford, not Canelo. Jaron Boots Ennis. This is easily the best option for Crawford if his focus is getting another monstrously huge payday before he retires to his mansion in Omaha, Nebraska. I would say Benavidez is the biggest money fight for Terence, but he's already said no to a battle against the Mexican monster. It looks bad that Crawford is refusing the fight because he's been talking about being placed on the Mount Rushmore of boxing. Avoiding Benavidez is a signal that Crawford isn't cut from the same cloth as the greats on that mountain. He's not the risk-taker of Sugar Ray Robinson, Muhammad Ali, Joe Louis, or Sugar Ray Leonard. You can add a whole bunch of others that Crawford doesn't measure up to in the courage department among the all-time greats. When you think about how those greats were willing to risk their hides to fight the best, then you hear Crawford refusing to fight Benavidez, which shows that he's not one of them.